Hey y'all, I'm Brittany Sade, and you are now watching Gems and Tips, where I sit down with gems to talk tips and discuss all things lifestyle, beauty and fashion, business and finance, and wellness. And today I am with one of my personal favorites, Marcia, and we're going to be talking about just achieving overall wellness, especially in the mind, and the importance of having your tribe. Marcia here is the owner of Brush House. And it's art design, and you've got to add more because you literally do everything. But art design, home design, texture art. She hosts events and more. She's actually come into my place to do one of my walls, and I have her coming back to do even more because she does such a fabulous job. So, Marcia, tell us a little bit more about Brush House and give us the tea on how we got here.
The tea. So Brush House came about. The best way that I can explain it is I've been doing art my entire life. But while I was pregnant, I fell into the world of fluid art. Fluid art is like pouring multiple layers of paint into a cup. This is one way of doing it. And you flip it over onto a canvas. You take the canvas and you tilt it and you move it and it makes a design. Mm-hmm. So I did that while 6, 7, 8 months pregnant. And I had never did abstract art. I was a drawer. I was a painter, but not from an abstract standpoint. So what ended up happening is I dove into different mediums and discovered texture art with plaster. So then I was like, oh, this would be a great experience for people to do as a sip and paint. So that is how the business started. I was like, we're going to do events and date nights and girl bridal showers, birthday parties, all of the things. Yes. So started off as events. And I enjoyed it thoroughly because we were teaching somebody something that they may have not experienced before.
And on top of that, you can hang it up after you're done.
Correct. And that's what I was going to say. No shade to sip and paints, but most people do a sip and paint and never see that painting again. It's in your trunk, it's in your garage, it's in your closet. But with texture art, it's something that you can be proud of. You can hang it on your wall like, look what I did. It looks like something that you can buy out of a furniture store. Mm-hmm. So as I was doing that, I stumbled upon doing wood walls. The thought process after doing wood walls was I can do an entire interior of someone's home. Mm-hmm. I can provide you an accent wall and I can provide you art. And I can do the things that you see on HGTV and you're like, oh man, I would love to do that. Or I would love to have that. And one, I'm not going to actually do it because I don't have the time. Or two, like, man, I want my house to look this kind of way, and I don't know anyone that can do it. So that is how Brush House started.
I love it. Because I don't think everybody can do that. I love how you just said that, like, oh, I can do it, but I don't have time. Like, no, I cannot do it. That wall that you did for me, I absolutely could not do it. But continue.
Well, no, so overall, what I ended up falling in love with was just knowing how I wanted my home to look and then being able to provide that service to other people.
I love that. So I know that you have got into art and with Brush House, and but how did you finally decide that that was your passion? Because you have done so many things and you're good at so many things. I could make the list now, but what made it click for you to say, you know what, I'm going to finally choose art?
It's been a long journey. My grandmother was an artist. My grandmother is I guess, a known artist from, the Black community specifically. And I avoided art my entire life. I didn't want to be compared to her. I didn't want to be in that lane, but it's something I did my entire life. I've been drawing since I can put a pen to a paper. So it was a battle. It was a 30-year battle of what am I going to do? How do I have my own identity in this? What does that look like? And I mean, to basically answer that, it clicked during my pregnancy. And my pregnancy, I was like, stop avoiding the thing that keeps chasing you. Stop turning away from something that you love to do. This is something you can wake up and do every day and not think about it. It's something you can do in your sleep. This is something that you breathe, eat, and sleep. And it's not about being compared to your grandmother. It's about finding your own identity in it, finding your own lane in it. And it clicked when I just jumped out the window and I was like, I can't work in a cubicle. I cannot do this. It is suffocating. Mm-hmm. It is a struggle to wake up every day, commute for 2 hours, drop my child off to daycare, spend 8 to 10 hours at a job that doesn't appreciate you, don't care about you, you're replaceable, just to travel for 2 more hours in Atlanta traffic to get home and put your child to sleep because you have no time to do anything with them. It was breaking me. It was stressful. And I said, I need to do something different, and I need to do what I love to do, because if I stay on this trajectory, I am going to be 15 more years into my job and miserable.
Yeah.
And so I just said, F it, and jumped out the window. And I mean, ever since I made that decision, everything has just clicked on all cylinders. Nothing I've ever done in life has flowed the way that this has flowed. It has just on all cylinders, book. Every time somebody books, I'm like, what did I just do? It's moved at lightning speed.
I love that for you. And that just is a testament to when things are in alignment, like you don't have to fight for it. And I truly love that for you. And I love it for everyone, including me, who gets to have your services. So aside from art, what do you do, or what is something that, like, what is your go-to in order to stay mentally strong? I know that we've talked about how art was like a therapy for you, but outside of that, is it art only, or is there anything else that you do to like stay mentally strong?
In order for me to stay mentally strong, I have realized at my strongest point, I had all things aligned. My physical was aligned, my mental, my emotional, and my finances. Those are my quadrants. And I have all of those things on a scale, and I all need to be aligned, like you said, for me to be healthy emotionally and mentally. I think people say this all the time, like your house is a representation of how you feel. If my house is a wreck, I'm a wreck. If it's not in order, I'm not in order. What I learned is I need to be organized at all time. Physically, I need to be fit. Because if you don't look good, you may not feel good. If you're not dressing well, then you might not feel well. So I realize all of those things are attached for me. It might not be for somebody else, but for me, I need to be at the shape physically that I need to be at. I need to make the money that takes that stress off of me. Emotionally, across the board, I need to be in a healthy relationship or healthily single. And then mentally, everything starts to balance. But without those other three aligned, my mental is in the garbage. So that is what I discovered is working out, writing, art, and doing what I love to do every day.
I love that. So talking about relationships and kind of how that either affects or helps you stay mentally strong, how important is your tribe to you?
You know, it's contradictory to what most people say. Most people are like, you know, when you start a business, your friends are not going to support. All my friends support every single time. I am so grateful and thankful for my tribe. My tribe makes sure that I am accountable. They make sure I'm uplifted. They make sure I'm encouraged. They make sure that I am on my P's and Q's as much as I can be. So it is very, very, very important because my tribe keeps me going. My tribe keeps me alive, you know.
What does that mean, your tribe keeps you alive?
I am a person that has battled with depression. I have the suicidal thoughts, anxiety. I probably had my first suicidal thought when I was 4 years old. We lived on the 3rd floor of an apartment, and I thought about jumping out the window. I don't think that's a normal 4-year-old thought. That's a battle I've had my entire life. And my emotions are extreme.
You're a Pisces.
Gang. But, I mean, outside of the zodiac side of it, like, I'm a very all-in person when I meet people. So it's like, I love you. I love all of you. Like, I'm all in. And it may not appear that way because I might have, resting bee face and all of those things. But the emotion that I carry is very, very strong. So like if I tell a story and I'm like, this is what I've been through and this is what I've gone through, and people are like, everybody goes through that. That's normal. That's normal. For me, it's not.
I don't appreciate when people do that either. Because it's different things affect people differently.
It
and
hits
your
hard.
stress isn't my stress. So it does make it tough when people try to compete with who's
struggled
who
the
has
most,
the rougher time. Like, what?
So it's not about me struggling more or going through something differently. It's about how it affects my heart. Mm-hmm. That stuff rips you to shreds. For me, things rip me to shreds. I am affected by things, especially in the space of people I care about.
Yeah.
So when I say my tribe keeps me alive, that's exactly what I mean. Like, they keep me on this earth. If we want to talk personal, I remember 2018 was probably my roughest year, and you were there for me like every day. You call a friend and they show up every time. That's not what people experience. Mm-hmm. Back to me starting this business, I'm throwing events. Who's there? My friends. I started doing these accent walks. Who's getting my business? My friends. Like, if it wasn't for that, I don't know what I would do. Personally, like, I'm very appreciative. I'm very thankful. I don't think people know the extent of my struggle because I don't express it. But if we want to talk about a financial, I'm $256,000 in debt out of college. Now $156,000.
I know that's right.
But
that's
after paying, yes, I've been paying my student loans since 2010. Nowhere near out of debt. I don't care nothing about the little $10,000 that anybody is talking about. It doesn't affect me. It's mm-hmm. not helping me, mm-hmm. So when you get into an amount of debt like that with no knowledge, with nobody ahead of you going to college, with nobody telling you anything different, and you deciding to go to a HBCU that's $30,000 a year, mm-hmm. and you coming out of college at $100,000 and going to get your master's to another private school to get into more debt, just to not work in your field, it's different. Mm-hmm. And then you feel behind. I'm behind all of my friends. I'm not married. I'm not making the salary. I'm not doing the things. I am depressed. Mm-hmm. And it's not in a comparison level of this is where I should be. It's in a level of I wish I had more knowledge mm-hmm. to get ahead of the things that I'm in. This is hurting me because I don't know what to do. I don't even want to get married because that man's going to marry my dad. People don't think about finances in regards to merging lives. Yeah. Now, we're on each other's insurance reports. Now, we're on each other's financial reports. And my debt is now your debt. I don't want to marry you. Yeah. So those are the things, my brain works in overdrive 24/7. And I think that because I don't express those things to my friends, I just try to fight through it. And then as I'm fighting through it, it looks like I am a serial job hopper. I have been a flight attendant. I have went to dental school. I went to pilot school. I have done all the things. I have all the degrees. I have all the certificates. I have all of it.
All the things.
I have done everything. But the one thing that I don't regret is that I tried it all. Mm-hmm. And I will call myself the modern day Renaissance woman, and I embrace who I am now versus being down on myself for not having a path and not having a goal and not having a why. Now I do. Now I do.
I love that. So, and I want to kind of switch gears and start talking about as you kind of go through that journey, because everybody's journey is different. And I feel like there's a lot of people who don't necessarily they don't work in the industry of the degree that they have. I feel like I'm one of the only people. And even then, I went to school to be an attorney and ended up finding trust and wealth management while at school. It wasn't something that I went to school aspiring to do or be. But with that, throughout your journey, not being afraid to continue trying new things, finding your niche, even though you were running from
art.
You were running from it. But let's talk about the importance of showing yourself grace. I know that we talk about showing a lot of other people grace, but talk a little bit about how important it was to show yourself grace. And I appreciate you for this because I know that you are the perfect person to talk about this with because I've seen the growth. And so talk about that grace and finally being able to show yourself the grace that we talk about giving to others?
You know, it's funny that you bring it up because I think about our relationship dynamic and what you expect from your friends versus what you expect from your relationships, and you know how we completely are different on that topic. And to express the details of that is I have no expectations of my friends. I just let people live, let people be. There's no judgment. It just is what it is. Like I accept people for who they are at where they're at, and I don't do that for myself. I beat myself up. I give myself no grace. I am probably my biggest hater.
You think still?
Not as bad as I used to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I've grown tremendously. And so giving myself grace is what I did for my birthday. Not having a schedule, not having an expectation of myself. The things that I give to others, giving that to myself, letting my day flow the way that it needed to flow. Doing the things that I love to do, getting back to fun. I think the thing that we miss the most is as we get older and we get hardened, we miss that childhood fun that and that everybody's childhood is different, so I can't say everybody's childhood was fun, but mine was lit. And when I say mine was lit, I mean like just my mom allowing me to be a kid.
Yeah, that innocence of being a kid too is really important.
Like my first 18 years of life, I mean, I went through life, but I had fun. The last 20 years of adulthood, trash. You know what I'm saying? Complete trash. So what I have done now, which is different, is giving myself the grace to say, eat that chicken wing if you want to eat that chicken wing, girl, you'll be fine. But still have a level of discipline.
Right.
Have fun if you want to have fun. Like, you might not be making the money you want to make now. Don't be reckless. Like, finding the balance of the extremes, if that makes sense. Because I could be on one extreme where I used to be, where I mean, nothing wrong with celibacy and all of that, but I was celibate, wasn't drinking, wasn't doing anything, and I was extremely disciplined, but I also was still depressed. You know, and then I went the other route, like, none of this matters. We outside. None of this matters. But finding the balance between the two and accepting you for exactly who you are, loving yourself for exactly who you are. I guess tearing down the things that your parents might have told you, or the traditions people told you, the way that people told you life was supposed to work, and saying, I can create my own rules as I go. I don't have to follow those outdated rules or outdated concepts, because the concept I was raised with is go to school, go to college, get married, have a family, have a career, or whatever that looked like. And what it looked like for me was go to school, go to college, graduate during a recession, get in hella debt, don't get a job, bartending. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what y'all told me. I didn't meet my husband in college.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the job. My classmates were getting severance packages upon graduation in 2008. That was not. And then and what really bothered me for the longest was the generation before me got the jobs, and the generation after me got the jobs. And then our generation, mine specifically, was just like a cluster of mess of some people. Like, if you were a lawyer or a doctor or an accountant, you were probably good. But if you had all these other degrees, mine being mass media, radio, TV, and film, you didn't necessarily need a degree. So now I got the debt. I'm making $10 an hour at the radio station. He making $10 an hour at the radio station. He don't have no degree. I got to pay these student loans and this apartment and these bills. It was a
little different.
It's like that YouTube video where it's like everybody starts on the line. It's like, oh, did you grow up with a single parent? Did you grow up with this?
Yeah,
and then it's like, now you see the difference. So I feel like I got off track, but I say that to say, from a grace perspective, is washing all the ideas you had of where you were supposed to be, and embracing where you are now, and learning that the power of now is taking your power back, essentially.
Absolutely. And I love that too, because I feel like a lot of times we have in our mind what we want to do. And a lot of times what we want to do, especially as believers, what we want may not be God's plan. So being open and not just giving yourself grace, but also understanding that maybe this isn't working because it's not supposed to. Not because there's anything wrong with me, not because I don't deserve it, but because that's just not for me. Whether it be the job, whether it be the relationship, whatever, sometimes things just are not meant for you. And so I think that that's very important in how we kind of circle back around like art.
Yes.
You know,
circle.
the one thing that you've been running from has always chased you. You found it again, and now it's just like taking off. And I'm actually really excited about that for you. I love that for you. But so in thinking about kind of pulling yourself out of a tough time, right, mentally, what would you say someone who may be going through that, whether they're showing it or not, what advice could you give to a friend of a person that may be kind of coming out of that place, whether it be temporary, whether it lasts for a little bit of time? Because we all go through things. You know, some of us go through them longer than others, but like, what could a friend do to support someone that's going through like a phase?
If somebody's going through a phase, the only advice I can really give is, when were you the happiest? And what did that look like for you? And what were you doing? And can you get back to that? Because I think people tend to tell people advice from their perspective. Hey, do art every day. You're going to be happy again. That person can't draw. Mm-hmm. Run every day. They don't want to run. You know what I'm saying? So whatever it was for you that you were like, this had me on point. Like, there was a period of time in my life where every day I ate carrots for 30 days. And then after the 30th day, I was Superwoman. Okay, great. Try eating those carrots again and see where you are in 30 days, if that makes sense. And I know I give like extreme analogies, but my point is, my advice to anybody is for them. It's tailored to them, not the projection of what I've been through and here, this is what you need. Like, I feel like a lot of times when people tell you things, you could just feel the projection. Sometimes it's like, okay.
Yeah, that may not work for
They're not going to work for me. Find out. Like, I think overall, as a human race, we need to do more listening. Mm-hmm. We need to do more understanding. We need to say, hey, how do I meet your needs here? What can I do? How can I assist? You don't need anything? Okay, I'll back up. Mm-hmm. I think people press when you don't need them to press. I think people aren't there when you need them to be there, but we're not asking enough questions and we're not doing enough understanding.
I love that. So I know that you talked about giving yourself grace and kind of doing what makes you happy. And I think kind of the point that you were making is that what may bring one person out of that may not necessarily work for the other. So aside from those two things, what is one thing that you would say that you would tell someone who is really trying to pick themselves up? Like, maybe not advice, but what is something that maybe you realized going through it, or something that you wish someone had said to you that you may have figured out on your own?
Time is always going to pass. So you stressed about it today, and then you choose to stress about it a year from now, and you keep stressing about it. 4 years pass and you did nothing. So that time is always going to pass, and sometimes you just have to move.
Okay.
No action literally get you nowhere. Yeah. So that would probably be the only thing I could say, because you look up and you're older and your situation hasn't changed.
So you just gotta move.
You gotta move. You gotta move. You don't. When I started Brush House, I was like, oh, I'm about to do sipping paints, and I'm about to get a lease, and I'm about to get this building, and I'm just gonna do sipping paints every day. And now I'm doing wood walls. You just don't know. Like, you know, like you have to move, and things grow from there. So move.
Just move. Well, y'all heard that. Just move. Well, thank you so much, Marcia, for letting me have this conversation with you. I am so proud of you and so happy for you. And I'm so glad I have you, not just for my walls, but in life. So thank you so much. And thank you guys for tuning in. And thank you for watching. Be sure to stay tuned for the upcoming episodes. As you know, here at Gems and Tips, we are talking all things lifestyle, business and finance, fashion and beauty, and wellness. Thank you so much. Until next time.